Hello there!
Welcome back to another video! Today I'm going to be doing two things. First of all, I'm going to be opening some art supplies that I bought earlier in the week. And second of all, I'm going to be doing a sketching session with those art supplies after like some swatching and whatnot. And yeah, so I've got a little baggie here that has all the stuff. Right, so to start off with the simple, I got this little table. He's always really cute. And you can just like put your phone on it. Ta-da! These little tins. And I'm starting to outgrow my little like storage bin, but I really like using tins that, you know, you can like stack and like label and stuff. So like this is an example of the stuff that I've been using until now. So these were dollar store things that a friend picked up for me. So I've got graphite in here, I've got inking stuff in here, and I've got my loose Posca pens in here. But so I'm starting to outgrow these, and I picked up a lot more like loose bits and bobs of pens and stuff. So I saw these that were $1 each, and they're like good quality. They're like probably magnetic, and you can probably use Poscas to paint on these. So I was like, perfect. It's good for organization and they're cheap. So why not? This other thing here, this is like 200 and something sheets, I feel. Yeah, 200 sheets. It's got the big spiral. I typically don't like spiral bound sketchbooks, but this one is just like, it was $5. It's 200 sheets. It's got the full, like, it reminds me of the Blue's Clues little notepad thing, if anyone remembers that. And I was just like, I can't not get it. My coworker also got one of these, and she said the paper's not bad. As you can see, I haven't opened this just yet, but because I wanted to open it on camera and do some like test swatches. But I don't know, I feel like this would be really good to just do a lot of really quick stuff and not feel so pressured. So we will be swatching this, testing this, and maybe doing a bit of like training with it. Now last, we have these things. This is the kind of bag that they give you for loose stuff. And what I got in this bag are some brushes. So these brushes were also on sale. They were about $4 each, something like that. And as you saw last week, I've recently discovered the solution to my biggest problem with watercolors. And I was like, we're doing this now. This one is one that I actually don't have any brushes with this shape before. But yeah, so these are the three brushes. We won't be testing this. I do not have the stuff set up for painting anything, but I will mention them if I use these later on. And then lastly, we've got the bit I'm most excited, I opened this the wrong way around. The thing I'm most excited for, which are these goodies. So, to just like grab them all out here. All of these, except for a very recognizable, are water-based. So these four, I got two of these. That's interesting. I just noticed that this one's got a white and that one's got a black. It might not be the same thing as the other ones, is it? Yeah, it is. I guess we'll find out in the swatching. So these were also on sale. These two were for $2 each, and these two for $1 each. I've been enjoying using water-based markers in my sketchbook, so that's why I got these. Similarly for these, I got a pack of 3 of these that were blue, red, and black that were on sale as well, like a couple months ago when I went to DeSerres. So I was like, all right, let's get a bit more variety. And then lastly, you're like, I picked my micron candy, really? How many years have you been using these? Why would you? It wasn't on sale, I bet they're never on sale, But look at this. Is this a 12-point micron? A 12-point micron! I don't know if you guys have been around the block as much as I have, but I have never seen a 12-point micron. Look at this thing. It is larger than my head. I haven't ever seen a 12 size micron. Goodness. So yeah, I'm excited to see what I can do with that. But yeah, that was the stuff that I bought, and you might think, Candy, why are you so excited? It's just a couple pens, a couple tins, and like a few brushes. But I'm like, listen, I've gotten to the point where I basically have at least some of every art supply that I could possibly enjoy. So going to the art store recently has lost some of its like charm, I guess I could say, because it's sort of like, oh yeah, I love these paints, but I already have these. And especially since like over Christmas and for my birthday, I finished out my Posca. I didn't finish, I don't have one of every Posca, but I have, you know, enough of the basics and in the standard size. So I've got like a good collection of Poscas now, and that was my last sort of thing I was collecting. Going to the art store has been more of like a look-see sort of thing than an actual like shopping situation. Yeah, it's interesting to me to go to an art store and actually come out with this big of a haul. With all that being said, let's do some unboxing first. Let's get the plastic out of this thing. So the cover page is very thin, and these are like kind of wobbly. It does have some texture to it, and it's not as like razor thin as I thought. It's still quite thin though. It's still like about as thin as printer paper, but it's got a bit more cream color and a little bit more tooth to it. Smudging's okay. Before I try out the markers on here, I am going to put a bit of protection from my swatcher paper because, yeah, this stuff is really thin and water-based markers really eat through that stuff. So I think the cap ought to have been this one instead of this one. What's this one like? Oh, this one's super light. I guess. Oh, look at that. That is like, I don't even know if I would call this a fine liner. And so that's my art haul. Thanks for coming. But moving forward, because it feels just a little bit dull to just open some stuff and do some swatches, I wanted to do a little sketch with me session. Alrighty, so step one of deciding what to draw is Pinterest. Maybe if I did something like this, but like zoomed in, because I did get a lot of greens. So like cropped like that, so they create on the side, face sideways, and the hand over there. Yeah, I like that. Obviously I took inspiration from that, but I don't want to like copy it one-to-one, even though I'm also tempted to just draw Link from Zelda. But so in an effort, and also just because I was noticing because of the scale that I'm drawing at, it was looking kind of awkward. Instead of making it so his his left hand was the one on the tree, I'm making it so his right hand's on the tree. And now that I realized that, I drew the wrong thumb. And now comes the time where I need to decide who this is. Somebody tell me who this is. I hate this part. I don't know if you guys felt this, sort of, but like when I was younger, I would just draw not characters. Like I would just draw and like put whatever hair on it I felt like drawing, put whatever eyes on it, and put whatever outfit. Like I wouldn't like think of it as like, oh, I am drawing this character. I would just draw, and then it would like, I would add features and then not think about it. But then I ended up, you know, making some art friends, and they had a bunch of OCs, and it's turned into like, okay, either this is fan art, or this is OC art, or this is like gift art for somebody. I tried to make it so it's like I'm always drawing a character or somebody or something in mind, because like I feel like pictures that have more of a story behind them, it's like, why is he making this expression? Why is his body language like this? If I don't actually know who I'm drawing, then I can't kind of like determine that. Been happening a lot lately where I just draw something and then I have to like associate a character to it, and I have a really hard time deciding who it is. Ugh.
Few moments later.
I have decided, so this is now little Peter Parker. Let's go for Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Okay, I like that. I've been seeing a lot of these TikToks that are like my thoughts while drawing. And then it's like they just do the little speed paint, and then they put little like quotes with that like auto-generated like text-to-speech thing. And it's like really interesting that it's just like such like caveman type thoughts of like, oh, you, or Command Z, oh, aha, that one came out good, or satisfying, and like focus, 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 okay. Flick, 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 swish, and like things like that. And it's like really interesting, but then I was just trying to, you know, because it was silent for like a second and I'm recording this, and I thought about like, oh, what thoughts am I having? And I was like trying to think about what thoughts I'm having. That's what those were the thoughts that I was having, is like try to think about the thoughts you're having so you can narrate and be interesting, Candy. And I was like, I'm not really having thoughts. Here's another place we can use this thick boy. I feel like this looks a mess right now, but trust in the process. Trust, believe, have faith. I've got a plan. My plan is forming. I've decided to talk you through the plan so it feels a little bit more like we're doing this together. So I've decided dark background, probably dark shadows. I have to see. This thing is gonna stay light, maybe even green. I'm gonna see what I'm gonna do for his shading. Oh, look at his face. If you're ever thinking of like adding some more like interest to your like sketchbook, like when you're flipping through and you feel like, oh, everything looks, because this is a problem that I had a lot with my sketchbooks over time. That's why like when I filled one of my sketchbooks, I gave myself a challenge that I wasn't allowed to leave any pages as literally just graphite. Like I used to have to like at least do like some little whatevers in like highlighter or color pencil or inking or something like that, just because I was getting sick of like so much of my sketchbook just being pure pencil. Not that there's anything wrong with that, and especially for like, for example, for this guy, I think the point is going to be that maybe I'll only use, you know, 1 medium per page or something. Because again, it's turned into like the opposite problem where it's like, I feel like I'm spending too much time on each sketchbook page. But if you're having the initial problem of every page looks too similar when you're flipping through, like it's just all graphite, or all ink. One of the things that I find helps a lot, and this is something that I learned through Inktober, is doing this like background. And even if it's like a solid color background, yeah, so if you do like a solid color and you just leave it, so it's like kind of mindless. I find it kind of therapeutic, but if you do that when you're flipping through later on, you'll have a bit more diversity. And it's like really easy when you're doing digital art to do like a solid color background, and it's just like bucket tool or whatever, even leaving like the subject white. Because even now, like right now is obviously not complete, but he's left kind of without shading even, and then the background is dark. That doesn't look bad. It's just, you know, I'm going to push it a little bit farther because I do want some color in here. But I just find that, you know, my earlier sketchbooks didn't, because it seemed kind of mindless and it seemed a little bit of a waste of supplies to do this. But again, if you have like a 50-cent pen or marker or something, or even if you just want to do hatching, and especially like if it's like you have the stuff lying around, you have like childhood art supplies from when you were a kid, like Crayola, or, you know, it's just like, especially like nowadays, I feel like what's wrong with spending like 10 minutes just doing something slightly mindless, right? It's like, even though we do have access to like the bucket tool when we're working digitally, there's something wrong with taking the time to just like scribble in and fill in a background and like do a couple, like it's obviously not perfect, like there's streaks here and there and there's dots and I can go back and like touch them up, but I probably won't get all of them. But it's like, I don't know, I find like it's a good thing to just like do a bit of a mindless bit of art in a solid color, to just add a little bit, and it makes me happy when I'm like flipping through it later. Like some of my favorite Inktober pieces from way back when I was doing Inktober are the ones that I just like spent the time to do the dark background. And obviously you don't have to do it as painstaking as me. Obviously I could pick a thicker pen to fill this with and it would be done a lot faster, but I don't know. I just felt like using this one, and now I've started and I've committed, so I'm going to be finishing with this one. So with that done, I have made more decisions. So I am going to do some black shading and hatching, and then I'm going to go for like a lighting based approach where I will be, what's a good way to explain this? I'll be doing kind of like as if, you know, there's a light coming from this way, which will be like one of these, and then there's light coming from like behind him, which will be another one of these, and then there will be a light coming from in front of him, which will be another one of these. So that's how I'm going to do that. So it'll look kind of like a monochrome lighting scheme, but I'll be dealing with the values and the shading with just my ink pens. And then from there on, I will establish, you'll see, I have a plan. I remember what I was saying about how deciding to draw it as a character and like giving the piece a story is a little bit more satisfying and interesting to me than just doing, you know, this character with this hairstyle, whatever. And I like the idea of coming up with like a story and stuff for it, and it makes more sense to me. And, you know, as I'm working on this and then like knowing my color palette, I've like come up with like this whole ass story where, so I've got a bunch of greens and blues, and this is Andrew Garfield's Spidey. So he and Harry Osborn, Green Goblin, childhood friends, and I mean there's a lot of fanfics where, you know, they make a bit more of an effort and they tried to give Harry Osborn, this is from Amazing Spider-Man 2 by the way, not the first one, which one? Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone's Gwen and Spidey relationship is one of my favorite relationships ever done in like a superhero film. But the friendship that Peter and Harry Osborn have in those films, to me, is just like really sad, and it's like one of those ones of like missed opportunity, and you can like really, and I feel like it's also like a testament to how good of an actor Andrew Garfield is, where like I really felt like they had been friends for forever, and then he was like really nervous when being reunited with him, but then when Harry started like greeting him like with you know, the fondness, and then asking him for help and stuff like that. And I just feel like if the circumstances had been different, they could have, together with Gwen, really made it work. So this, I have just now decided, since I'm going to be doing a lot of green lighting for it, is now a universe where Gwen and Peter were able to cure Harry, and then Harry is a vigilante along with Spider-Man as Green Goblin instead of a villain, and that's why he's glowing green, because he's just watching Harry do his thing, and it's awesome. And this is why I'm very much a fan these days of drawing something, knowing sort of who it is, so that it can have a bit more story to it. I have an idea. It might ruin everything, but it might not. This is our highlight color. I feel like this is the backlight color and the front light color, and this is for like some bitty pops. I know Andrew Garfield's got brown eyes. Too bad. And what's gonna bring this all together, since I already committed to using alcohol markers, I think I just need to fill in a mid-tone with something slightly darker than this other one. Don't freak out. Don't freak out. I'm telling this to me, not to you. Don't freak out. You guys are probably like, what in the world is she doing? I've got a plan. And now the last tool in my toolbox, Posca markers. I know I said that this thing was the behind light, but now I'm just gonna change it to the light that's just coming from. Yeah, that does a lot to it. I'm happy. I feel like, you know, I did a lot of experimenting and it didn't turn out exactly as planned because the values weren't exactly what I would have picked them for if this were digital. But with some fidangling, some adjusting, some contrast to it, I feel like this is quite interesting, and I'm still standing by my story that this is a universe where Gwen and Peter helped Harry with his illness, and now Spider-Man and Green Goblin are vigilantes together. Chadan! Well, thank you for joining me for the unboxing or haul video, what you want to call it, of my little shopping spree. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at what things might catch my fancy, and then a little sketch with me session. I haven't done one of these in a long time, and I know that editing this is going to be a pain, but I think it'll be worth it. And yeah, let me know what you think, and leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all sometime.